Hello, welcome. We are back. We are working on the November 2021 paper. This is paper 1, foundation tier, and we are allowed that calculator. Let's get into it, see how many we can get done. So our first question needs a little bit of a voice break already. We need a little bit of tools here. So I've got my ruler, so let's measure the length of this line. To get that 0 on the left-hand side, I've just measured my one, and I make that about 6.9 on my screen. But because I've downloaded and I've dragged this in, that means that we're going to have a different length. So the mark scheme here says 9.1 to 9.5. So yeah, obviously if I zoom in, look, bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller. So be very careful when you're doing these ones online. But however, zooming in, zooming out does not affect the angle. So when we're measuring this angle, we need to get like the little bullseye into the middle. I'm going to get my one so that it's there. Oh, when I touch the screen, it all goes a bit wrong. I'm going to zoom in because I need it to be there or thereabouts my angle measurer, and we are looking at 55, 56, 57 degrees. 57 degrees, right. And then if we look at that mark scheme, yep, they're going to allow 55 to 59. So they give you a little bit of leeway here or there, which is great. Okay, write down the mathematical name of this type of angle. This type of angle is an acute angle. Okay, question 2. Write down each of the following. An odd number, that's easy marks. So I'm going to put 21. A square number, so we can have anything from like 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. So I'm going to put 25. Just to remind you, the odd number is just a number that doesn't divide by 2 without leaving a remainder. Okay, with leaving a remainder. So anything that ends in a 1, 3, 5, 7, or a 9. Okay, a prime number between 30 and 40. We can have 31, or we could have had 37. 33 divides by 3 and 11. 35 divides by 5, and 39 divides by 3 and 13. And then a multiple of 8, would you believe? You can just have 8. But 8, 16, 24, 32, so it's just a number that's in the 8 times table. Here is a rhombus. On the diagram, draw all the lines of symmetry. So we should have one diagonally there, and we have one diagonally there through those corners. Write down the order of rotation of this. Write down the order of rotational symmetry of the rhombus. So that is 2, because if we rotate it 180 degrees, it will look the same. If we rotate it through 90 degrees, it will look like that. And then we will get back to that position after 180 degrees. And then when we go through the full 360, we will have those, the second part. So that will be the second part of the second order of the rotational symmetry. 4a, here is a list of numbers. Work out the range. So the biggest number is 9. The smallest number is 1. So our range is 8. Work out the mean of the numbers. So we're going to add all those numbers together. Use your calculator. I don't want to see or hear of people making silly arithmetic errors here. So we've got 30, and then we divide by 6 because we've got 6 numbers, and that means that the mean is 5. Flying through it today. Round 564 to the nearest 10. So we've got 560, 570, 565 is in the middle, 564 is there. So that will be 560. Okay, 4, 3, 8, 7, 4, 9, round that to 3 significant figures. Well, sorry about that. Our third significant figure is the 8, so we're going to look at the 7. The 7 rounds that number up, but it's not just going to be 439. That's a common wrong answer because the initial number is 438,749. So this will be 439,000. 439,000. Question 6. Write the following numbers in order of size. I must beg that you do this for your exam. Just write them on top of each other and make sure that you've got the place value in order. And then I'm going to use just a different color pen here because you can add those zeros in as placeholders. And then obviously they all are 0.5. So the next number is going to be the smallest bit. So we've got 0.502 is the first one, 0.502. The next one, 0.51. Then we've got 0.529, and then finally 0.54. Sorted. Okay. Next one. So we've got some nice equations here. Use the calculators. Do not make mistakes. So we need to add 14 to both sides, and that gives us 30 plus 14, which is 44. Our next one, 6y, we're going to subtract 7 from both sides. So we have 6y equals 21, and then we divide it by 6. Y is 21 over 6. Again, use the calculator. 7 over 2, which when I hit SD gives me 3.5. Question 8. Point G is shown on the grid. Write down the coordinate. So we go along the corridor, 3, down the stairs, -4. B, plot H on the grid, -2, up by 4. So -2, 4 is there. I'm going to label it H as well, just in case. Okay, question 9. Students think of a number. So I'm going to call this number A. They square it, and then they add 6. Add 6. The answer is 295. So the first process they've done is they've squared the number, and then the second process that they've done is they've added 6. So we need to do the reverse and the opposite, which means we take 6 away, and then the opposite of squaring a number is square rooting it. So 295, take away 6. And that pause is for dramatic effect to show that I'm using the calculator as well as you should. And then we square root that answer. Square root of 289 equals 17. And whilst I am doing it on the calculator, you must write down what you're putting in your calculator. That has to happen. So the examiner can see what you've done. And if you make a mistake, you can get some method marks. Question 10, simplify. So 3, I'm going to rewrite this out. Like you might not like what I'm doing here, but it's 3 times C times C times D times 2 times D. 3 times 2 is 6. There's 2 C's and 2 D's. So 6C squared D squared. Right, factorize. So again, I'm going to make this into something a bit different. So 35 is 7 and 5. So 35x is 5 times 7 times x. 7x squared is 7 times x times x. So you can see that we've got a common 7 in both, and we've got a common x in both. That means that 7x comes outside of that bracket, and then what's left over will go in. So we have 5 plus x, and then we close that bracket. Time check, please. 7 minutes to go. I'll get a few more in here. Question 11, a rectangle 6 by 3 and a semicircle joined to make the shape. Work out the area. So we've got a radius of 3, and pi r squared is how we find the area of a circle, and we're going to divide this by 2. So 3 squared is 9, so we have 9 over 2 pi, but don't worry, you can just put this in your calculator as 9 times by pi and then divide it by 2. 9 times pi divided by 2, and that gives me 14.1371669.4. And then we need to work out the area of the rectangle, which is 3 times 6, and that gives us 18. Now, I will just have a quick look at the mark scheme to see what it's going to give us. Yeah, the 3 times 6 gives you 1 mark. This is a 4 marker. Doing 3 times 6 gives you 1 mark. So you absolutely have to do that. But even if you look at this and you've forgotten your area for your circle, do the bits you can. You get marks for it. Now we're going to add that 18 to the 14.13, and that gives me, and I'm going to write down that I've added it as well, again, because that is potentially, now that one's not a method mark, but it could be when you do your exam, and that gives us 32.1, and I'm going to round it to 14 like that. Leave it there. 4 marks. Happy days. Question 12, a conversion graph between pounds and dollars. Explain fully how the graph shows that the number of dollars is directly proportional to the number of pounds. Well, it starts at 0. I'm going to say 0, 0, which is the origin. And also it's a straight line. Okay, use the conversion graph to convert £20 into dollars. So here's my 20, and then that's one line above that middle bit, which makes $26. Feel free to draw on those diagrams because that is part of showing your working. Part C, some trainers cost £170 in the UK. The same trainers cost £195. Show that the trainers cost less. So we're going to convert £17 if I can see this on the graph. Yeah, I can. So my 17, 5 and 6 there. Just going to draw that line up to there, and that's actually quite nice. It's ended up being 2 above the 20, which is 22. So £17 equals $22. Therefore, £170 is equal to $220. Okay, and also, therefore, trainers cost, and I'm going to put $25. Question. If the trainers are bought from the USA, there is an extra charge for tax and delivery. Alex wants to pay the lowest total amount for the trainers. Write down the maximum extra charge for tax and delivery that Alex should be willing to pay. Now, I've just worked out there's a difference of $25. So, in theory, I'd say, yeah. Let me have a look. Write down the maximum charge that Alex would be willing to pay. Give your answer in dollars. I'm going to say £25 or $25. So because that difference between one and the other, so if we paid the $25 for the USA, that's going to make it $220, which makes it the same amount. Okay, question 13. A biased five-sided spinner is numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The table shows the probability of the spinner landing on 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, and 4. The spinner is 4 times more likely to land on 5 than on 3. So if 3 was X, this would be 4X. Complete the table. I shouldn't have wrote that in the table. Haha. X, and that would be 4X. So we've got 0.4 in the table, 0.1, 0.1, 0.2. That's going to be 0.6. 0.6 divided by 5 is 0.12. Therefore, that's 0.12, and this one will be 0.48. Right, I'm going to pause it there. I'm going to stop it for now. Obviously, subscribe, of course. Share the love, share the page, get everyone using this to help them, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.